Hey, I'm Henry,
And I'm Al.
and we are Horror on Air, where we talk all things horror.
On the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Al just enlightened me with this thing where you go, oh, and the thing starts recording, and I am absolutely infatuated by it. That was fucking cool. That's so fucking cool. Oh, it doesn't stop recording.
No.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He's done it a few times. He was touching himself that last time. Y'all didn't see that. I had to.
It's the reason we're sitting down.
Right.
Today we're going to talk Terrifier 3 because it's long overdue for us to talk Terrifier 3.
Yep. Spoiler alert filled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're doing spoilers. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Terrifier 3.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet, then fucking sorry.
Yeah.
Come back and watch this after you've watched
right. Good call.
that great movie.
Good
Because
call.
this is going. In fact, we could do a graphic like right here.
But we're not doing. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I just see spoilers, motherfuckers, like that. I think would
If
be.
you could do that, that would be
Right.
fucking awesome.
It was the opening weekend for Terrifier 3.
We got a chance to go to
Nightmare Weekend in Richmond.
yes.
At GalaxyCon. Pictures. There's some pictures. Okay, sweet.
Which was a fucking cool time. But one of the main things that was there was Mr. David Howard Thornton.
Absolutely.
We did get a chance to kind of meet and greet a little bit with David Howard Thornton, and that was really cool. And then we went to a special premiere that night at an ungodly time for us two old fucks to start watching a movie. However, David Howard Thornton did make an appearance, kind of give a little, what do you say, like a 10-15 minute, spiel before the movie, just kind of talking about the movie and everything like that, introduce the film. He did stick around to watch that first opening sequence of the movie, and that was fucking great. And then he headed out with
Right.
his like,
Scary Christmas, motherfuckers. Yeah. Bravo, Mr. Howard Thornton.
Right. But let's just dive right into it. Unless you've been living under a rock or a dumpster somewhere for the last, year, you know that Terrifier 3 takes place at Christmas time, which, and by all definition, makes Terrifier 3 a Christmas movie.
Absolutely.
So,
New family tradition every year.
exactly, whether they want it or not. So that first, we'll talk about that opening scene. That opening scene sets the bar for the rest of that movie, in my opinion.
You know what I appreciate about that opening sequence? You see, I understand that the Terrifier franchise is not for everyone. If you haven't watched the first two movies, which a lot of people had not seen the first two movies going in, I don't understand that.
I don't either.
But they went to see Terrifier 3 in the theaters. You found out in that first 10 minutes if it was for you or not.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. The first 10 minutes of that movie is designed to see if you're cool or not.
Mm-hmm.
The remaining hour and a half after that is to see how cool you are. So,
Anthony Jeselnik.
right. Let's talk about this opening sequence. In this opening sequence, you first get to see Art the Clown as Santa, kind of, and you did in the little teaser trailer, of the film, and you just get to watch him do what fucking Art the Clown does the best. One of my favorite things about Terrifier 3 is the little bit more personality you get from the Art the Clown character.
Mm-hmm.
For example, he hacks up a family, in the first 10 minutes. They've got milk and cookies set up for Santa, and it goes from him chopping motherfuckers with axes to him sitting there with bloody hands picking apart cookies and dipping them in milk and shit. Like,
which I enjoy that.
Fucking great. I love it.
I wanted cookies and milk after that.
I did too. Kind of get like a little flashback of Terrifier 2 there for a little while.
Mm-hmm. This goes back to the same night that he battled with Sienna at the Terrifier amusement ride. Mm-hmm. It shows the rest of that night in the hospital that you see at the end of Terrifier 2 and what happens there. And it's kind of like they go into a what's it?
Like a hibernation?
A hibernation, yeah.
Yeah.
for 5 years until they are awakened by a crew that's coming in to
demo the house that they're in, and then all fucking hell breaks loose. But that first kill, kind of in that house was the cool little, split head, portion, which to me, I immediately got flashbacks of a hatchet. Yeah. With the jaw just kind of, turning the human into a Pez dispenser. Yeah. Type of thing.
Meanwhile, Vicky.
Yeah.
Is grabbed a piece of glass and. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, were you talking about more personality, a little more Art the Clown of being silly or goofy as the old, like that after she gets done with the glass, which is probably the most horrifying scene for me in the movie.
Right.
Then we catch back up with, if I'm not mistaken, we catch back up with Sienna at that point, right? She's on her way to stay with her aunt
and uncle.
Aunt and uncle. This is 5 years gone by since the events of part 2.
Yeah.
She's obviously dealing with a lot of PTSD and issues with that. She's seeing her friend that was murdered, and she is having these visions and everything, and she's been in and out of institutions for mental health ever since the events of part 2. So this is supposed to be getting away from it all.
But Art the Clown says otherwise, and he comes back. He's essentially at one point just kind of walking down the street, and he passes a bar, and there's somebody dressed as Santa
which
in
he
the
gets
bar.
Really childlike excited about.
Fuck yes. He is through the fucking roof excited, but then he ends up kind of doing in everybody in the bar, including Santa, and Santa got fucked up.
It's worth mentioning that Santa Claus was Daniel Roebuck.
Yeah.
He's been in quite a few movies. Probably most recently, if y'all saw I know not everybody likes it, but Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Yeah. He was Grandpa Munster in that. But he's been in a lot of movies since.
And then the other dude in the bar was
Clint Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fucking ice cream man. Get the background of how he gets the Santa suit and everything. Which to me kind of innuendos how he kind of came in that first house.
Right.
In the beginning of the movie.
That was something I had a question about. Why did he go to this out of nowhere house? And I thought we were going to get an explanation. And we did. I just didn't catch it the first time around watching it. But
after that, he kind of goes to a mall to play Santa. And that ends fucking terribly.
Right.
Giant explosion.
So when he gets there, the Santa Claus that was there is taking a break. He decides to come out and sit down with his bag of goodies, which is, again, this is where we find out why he went in there and butchered that family in the first 10 minutes. Because the little stuffed possum that the little girl is holding is one of the gifts he's got wrapped in his bag. So Santa has to have gifts.
Yeah.
So he stopped at that house and took them all out and ate some milk and cookies and took the gifts. And then
turned one of the presents into a fucking awesome ass like nitroglycerin bomb, and
it was impressive.
Yeah, it was a very good explosion.
It really doesn't surprise me that this kind of violence is capable in a Christmas movie. If you think back, Tobe Hooper said he came up with the idea for Texas Chainsaw Massacre while Christmas shopping.
Right.
Because there were so many people around him acting like fucking idiots. He looked over, saw the chainsaws, and was like, yeah, I could do that. And I think we've all been there. So
the chainsaw scene in this movie rivals...
we skipped right past that.
Right. It rivals the snatch to mouth saw scene in Terrifier 1.
Leading up to when they're in the bathroom, he is walking through the halls and hears, that's Cole and Mia, I think their names were. He overhears them talking and says something, this Cole says something to the effect of, it's like you're turned on by him. It's like you want to fuck him.
Right.
And, like, that's another personality thing. Art's like,
Right.
And kind of is listening, and she says, "No, I don't want to fuck him." And then he looks pissed, and he's like, fuck. But she says something about she wanted to talk to Sienna to see what it was like to...
Yes, to stare into the eyes of evil.
Yeah, pure evil and everything.
And it's kind of what you get.
Yeah, you get to that bathroom scene, and he starts doing what he does, and he has that moment where he just stops and stares right in her eyes.
Takes his little sunglasses off and makes eye contact with her for a few seconds, and then he's like...
I think, didn't he put the sunglasses on her, too?
Yes.
It was Christmas.
Yes, he did.
Christmas tree sunglasses.
He traded out the daisy sunglasses for little Christmas trees.
Yep.
You end up getting a really cool... almost kind of like a final girl battle again between Sienna and Art the Clown and Vicky. And
they go through a lot getting to that point. They allude to the brother possibly, but off screen. So I don't know.
We're not counting it yet.
Right, we're not counting that yet. But the uncle ends up crucified on the wall with his head cut off. They say the little girl was killed, but that turns out not to be true. But we get they have Sienna tied up, and they're kind of torturing her and her aunt, with the possible child being killed.
Yeah.
They kill the aunt right there in front of her, then bring the kid out, and the kid's okay, but then they say it's her brother's skull that they were showing, and meanwhile, while they're torturing her and they're trying to break her down so that it turns out the demon can leave Vicky's body and go into hers, while all that's going on, Art's just walking by and smacking her in the back of the head every time he passes her.
Yep.
Just another little... I'm sorry if you can't watch that.
Just has fun with
with
that character.
But yeah, they have their battle out. Vicky gets killed, but the blood turns into some kind of like acid that melts a hole into hell.
Yeah.
And Art gets away, and Sienna is trying to save. I can't think of the
little cousin.
I can't think of the cousin's name. The little girl, Abby, maybe
something. Abby Normal.
Trying to save her from going into hell, and can't hold on to her. And it really sets it up for the next movie to be a pretty epic battle.
Right, and with that being said, I forgot what the budget was for the first film. I know they had $2 million for number 3 to play with.
I think it was $25,000.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Was the first one?
The second one,
$250.
I know the second one. Second was $250,000, and you can see where that went. All to that one bedroom scene almost. But they had a $2 million budget with number 3, and they utilized every fucking penny to the best of their abilities, and it was great. This movie, we looked it up before we started this, and as of November the 30th, that movie made $88.4 million. While we were at Richmond for opening weekend, it was the number 1 film in the country.
I think it was 2 weeks in a row that it was number 1, if not longer.
That is fucking huge for an independent film of any kind, let alone a independent horror slash 'em up film.
And all this was unrated as well. They didn't. They did not take it before the board to get it. Get the blessing of rated R or anything like that, because it wouldn't have made it.
So in other words, we get to sit back and buckle up and see where this train ends up, because I hope that this is just the gates opening up for more people to follow suit.
Right. And I gotta say, there's a lot of people, I completely understand that if these movies are not for you.
Right.
Because it is brutal. There was the third one. I've been watching horror movies since I was 6 or 7. And there were parts in Terrifier 3 that I was like, "Oh God, damn, really?"
Yeah. Why would you show that?
But a lot of people are shitting on the story of this movie. And my thing is, we don't start getting any real story until part 2. And even that's patchy.
Mm-hmm.
And you get some answers to some of the stuff, some of the questions that you walk out of part 2 having in part 3, but you get more questions out of what they're giving you in part 3. Mm-hmm. And it feels a lot like they're treating us like detectives to figure out a backstory, to understand, put all these pieces together and understand what's going on before everything actually happens. And I think I believe he said part 4 is going to be the last, at least of this story.
Right.
And I think it's gonna be really interesting to see, because a lot of people are like, oh, he's making up as it goes along. When I write, I have a backstory to my characters, whether they end up showing through in the story that I'm writing or not.
Right.
And I'm not saying Damien Leone is the same way as me in that way, but I really feels like he's had this story in his head for a while, and he's just slowly tossing us little clues out there to put together. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where part 4 goes. And again, if it's not your thing, hey, I respect that. That's cool. It is mine. I fucking love these movies.
100%. And that's another thing too, is nothing has to make sense. True. As far as the story goes. If you look back on numerous, especially 80s, like horror movies, nobody watched any of the Friday the 13th franchise for the story plot.
No, not really.
We just wanted to see Jason show up, fuck shit up, and haul ass. That was all we watched those movies for.
Yeah.
That's
important to note, because if you look at the slasher movies, which this is a slasher. This is a classic formulaic slasher. That they're just not worrying about what anybody thinks, and they're doing what the fuck they want.
Right.
If you go through and look, most of those slasher franchises did not follow any kind of real storyline from one movie to the next. So
it was, hey, let's go camping, gang. Oh, now we're dead.
Right.
Fuck it. That's all you needed.
So, try not to be quite so judgmental as far as the story goes, but I think he's probably going to surprise a lot of us with what he's got in store.
Oh, yeah.
I might eat my words later, and I'll happily do that if I'm wrong. But these movies have opened the doors for thousands of other independent, filmmakers to do, have a chance that Hollywood is still kind of like, ooh, I don't know.
You
don't know, and that's why you're not making any money, assholes.
Independent man. We need to get Kevin Smith on the fucking phone and have him make a Tusk 2 and make that shit fucking unrated and all hell breaks loose. I would see that shit in a heartbeat, buddy.
He's working on a lot of shit right now. I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of it. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, though.
Terrifier 3 is streaming. I know it's on Apple TV.
You can buy it from just about any of the purchase. You can rent it for, I think it's $19.99. You can buy it for $24.99 digitally. And I believe it's December 17th is when you can buy it on physical media.
That was our all over the place review of Terrifier 3. The movie's fucking awesome, and you need to go see it, or else you're dumb.
Sure.
But
all right, cool.
Until next time, adios, everybody.
Peace.